Well, to discuss the war in Ukraine, I'm joined now by Mark Watson, inaugural director of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute's Washington, D.C. office. Mark, thanks for joining us. It appears clear now this is just a tougher battle than Vladimir Putin anticipated, isn't it?
There's no question at all about that. I think that they were hoping for much easier gains, much quicker gains, and really breaking the back of the Ukrainian resistance. And we've seen the exact opposite. We've seen Ukrainian people, Ukrainian leaders just rallying behind the Ukrainian cause and showing no signs at all of wanting to walk away from this.
And it's a sticky situation, though, when you have Zelensky, the Volodymyr Zelensky, the president, calling almost every day for the West to enforce a no-fly zone. America and NATO believing that would cause a nuclear war, and we don't want that. It's sort of an uncomfortable situation, isn't it?
Yes, I completely understand why Zelensky's calling for a no-fly zone, but it's not going to happen. There's no guarantee at all that NATO would buy in, and even the United States, there is no appetite here in Washington, D.C. Amongst the leadership of either party, I don't believe, and not amongst the American people, to put American troops in a situation, or American Air Force in a situation where they're going toe-to-toe with the Russians. There's also a question around how effective a no-fly zone would even be. The damage that's being done in Ukraine at the moment is primarily being done by ground forces through artillery, missile strikes, and troops on the ground. The Russian Air Force, if anything, has proven itself to be, fairly incompetent. The Ukrainians claim they've shot down somewhere between 40 and 50 Russian aircraft already. So the cost-benefit analysis, the risk that you would take on by trying to enforce a no-fly zone versus the benefit just doesn't add up at the moment.
And what for Volodymyr Zelensky, do you think? Because he has reportedly survived many assassination attempts, I think potentially with the help of Western intelligence. When does he say, I'm going to go to Lviv or Poland and have a government in exile? Or does he just stay there and fight to the death in Kyiv?
Well, judging by what we've seen, and I've seen exactly what you've seen, Andrew, this is a man who the hour has found the man, and he really is providing a pillar of strength for the whole of the Ukrainian people. And I think he feels that very personally and very clearly, that his duty lies inside Ukraine. Can you imagine a situation down the track where the sheer weight of numbers from Russian forces really does begin to cause the Ukrainian capitals to crumble? Maybe he could see that as a way out to go to try and keep the struggle going from outside the country, but at the moment, I don't see any indication of that at all.
And how is this playing in the US for Joe Biden?
Well, as you know, Joe Biden had his State of the Union address last Tuesday, Washington time. And, I think there would be a consensus that he did a pretty good job, particularly in relation to the issue of Russia and the Ukraine. And he did so by being strong on sanctions. He was very strong in his condemnation of Russia and very strong in his support of Ukraine. But again, it's about more sanctions, more weapons, not more troops on the ground inside Ukraine. There's a very strong line being held here that the US will reinforce the eastern states of NATO, but they won't go into Ukraine itself.